Okay, so we've got a door here on about a 90-year-old house, and it's got kind of a gap down at the bottom that's letting a pretty good breeze through. So we're going to put this silicone rubber door sweep on it and try to make it a little less drafty. And I think I've got everything I need here to do that. I've got some knee pads to protect my knees. I've got a scraper to scrape off kind of the worst of it. I've got 120 grit sandpaper chucked into my sander. I've got a mask that's capable of filtering out lead dust because as you can see, there's 2 layers of paint there. I don't know for sure that either one of them is lead, but I don't want to take any chances. Got an anvil cutter there to cut my threshold sweep to length when the time comes, and some citrus-based cleaner to just kind of, clean whatever the sander doesn't get. Okay, so here's a look at this floor sweep from the end. It's got a pretty innovative design, really, that I think is going to allow it to seal off really good. This is an adhesive strip right here, so that's why I want to get this door clean. Also, just because it's really filthy, I'd like to get it clean. This is the place right here. Okay, so I got some newspaper down there with a light coat of water on it that will help it to attract the dust. And so I'm going to get my mask on and start scraping. Okay, so I made a pretty good mess here. I'm not going to use my shop vac to clean it up because those have a really coarse filter in them, and I might just end up distributing dust around the house, and in this case maybe lead dust. So I'm going to use I've got a rag, and I'm going to put some oil on it. I like to use pecan oil, it's my favorite, but just anything that will attract dust, and even furniture polish, something like that. But clean as much of it as I can that way, and then come back with my home vacuum cleaner, which has a lot finer filter than a shop vac. Alright, so obviously I underestimated how much drop cloth I was going to need. I got a little carried away sanding on it, so but it's all cleaned up, and I'm going to hit it with this now. This is actually an automotive product for just taking off road grime and things, but I think it'll work good for this, so I'm just going to clean over it with that now. This is a citric based product. It's actually described as adhesive remover, but so I think it'll be strong enough to remove some of this old grime that's been on here for probably 10 or 20 years. I'll let that set for a minute. Well, it looks like our length is going to be 36 1/4. Put it back down. Okay, hold it right there. Okay, so we're going to mark our sweep at 36 1/4 with our Stabilo grease pencil. So now I'm going to use a triangle with a 90-degree edge on it, just to make sure I get a pretty straight line there. Well, the silicone rubber is really hard to mark on, and these grease pencils usually mark on everything, so I think I got it where I can see it anyway. Alright, so we got our anvil cutters. These are pruning shears or molding shears. Hopefully they'll be sharp enough to cut this. We'll go right on our straight line there. There you go. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just measure. I'm going to use a blue Stabilo because they clean up easier than the red. And I've just put my floor sweep where it's going to contact well on the bottom here. So I'm going to make a little mark right here. And then I'll do the same thing on the other end. And then we'll draw a straight line between those 2 points, about 1/16 of an inch down below that. That way we'll get a good seal here on the bottom. When it closes, it'll actually, see, there's the adhesive strip there. When it closes, it'll actually push that bottom out a little bit. In fact, I think I might go down 1/8 of an inch lower, because we have plenty of adhesive. So if we put it right there, when it closes, this part will seal off good, because you can see how flexible that is, and give us a good tight seal. I can feel a nice breeze coming through there right now, so this is going to really help us this winter. Okay, so I just had to open the door a little bit so I could get my 4-foot ruler in there, and there's our blue line right there. All I have to do is peel the adhesive backing off and put it right on that line, and we should be perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to expose a little bit of this adhesive. I've got my line drawn there, and sometimes the red liner is kind of tricky to get started here. I'll edit this out, so don't worry about it. Just keep rolling. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is just peel my backing back a little bit here. It's kind of tricky to get it started. You got to work your fingernail in there and, you know, try not to pull any of that adhesive off. But anyway, get that started, and it exposes your sticky side there. So then all I got to do is just go right down this line with it. Once you get a little bit of it started like that, it's not going to go anywhere. It's very sticky. Then you can just expose some more. And one important thing is you don't want to stretch it. Like stick it at one end, then go to the other end and stretch it, because you'll build up stress in it. And when temperature makes it expand and contract, it'll end up coming off. So you want to roll it down like I'm doing right now, and kind of actually try to compress it if you can. That will allow you expansion room for later. You can see it's trying to pull the paint up, And that's fine, because when we go to refinish the door next summer, we'll be taking this off anyway. So if it pulls the paint off with it, the paint's got to come off anyway, so more the better there. But I'm going to try to not let it pull off before we want it to. Okay, so you can see, well, I got a little blue line showing there, so that's not good, but hopefully you want to hide your blue line as you lay it down. And you probably can't tell from up there, but I actually cut it so that it extends past the edge of the door, and because that's mainly where the air was coming in, right there. And later on, when we straighten this door up, this gap won't be as big anyway, but you can see right now that's a nice seal right there. Once it's closed, it's just barely pushing that bottom part. The threshold is just barely pushing that bottom part out, so it gets a good seal, but it's not pushing it so far out that you know, it's going to make it come off or make it loose. Let me go ahead and see. Let me go and shoot it from down here. You can see the little piece that's extending past it there. And of course you can always cut that off if you want, but I want to cover that gap as much as I can. So that's what it should look like when it's finished. Alright, so this took care of our draft that was coming under the door quite nicely. I presume you could probably paint this. I'm not sure of that. It's silicone, so I'm not 100% sure it would hold paint. But looks pretty good anyway in white, and it does come in different colors. This was just the closest thing to our interior, so very pleased with it. I think it's going to keep us a little more comfortable this winter. The other thing I did was I stuffed some of this foam round into the crack going up beside the door there, and to stop any air from coming in there. And the first time we open the door, this is going to fall out. There's nothing that holds it in there. But the thing is, we don't really use this door that much, and so we'll do. And it only takes a few minutes to stick it in there with a. I use just a little crowbar type thing, slide it in there. So hopefully this was helpful to somebody, and if so, I'd appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you. Cut.